Today I want to talk about how specifically I break down and analyze songs to get the most out of them. Hopefully by the end of this one you'll be able to analyze any song and by the end of it come away with a bunch of new tricks to try and thoughts and ideas and stuff. So the first thing to deal with is the global information, specifically the BPM, key, time signature, and length of the song. I usually keep track of the length in both minutes and seconds and in bars. The reason for this is just to sort of orient you to what's going on in the song, but then it's also important to notice that some things will work really well under certain conditions and not under other conditions. The way that you construct a 15-minute song to stay interesting for the entire length of it is going to be very, very different from the way that you construct the form of a 2-minute song. Similarly, a song at 126 beats per minute will have very different rhythmic structures than a song at 172 beats per minute. Once you have the global information, I like to look at the instrumentation or arrangement. These two are basically the same, but instrumentation is the word that feels more right for band music, and arrangement feels more right for electronic music. But basically you're just looking at the sounds that are happening in the song, when they're happening, and how they contribute to the song being something that you like. Questions I might be asking are, is it effective? Do I like it? Would the song be the same without it, or with a change to that detail? How can I create the same effect, but under different circumstances? And how can I take this trick and apply it in different ways without getting sued? Also early on, one of the most important things to look at is form. What is the form of the song? How is it structured? So usually I would go through and figure out where are the verses, pre-choruses, choruses, bridge, are there any breaks or tags, and how specifically are they arranged, how long is each one. On a macro level, I would look at how are those broken into large sections. Is it AAB? Is it ABCDE? Is it AABA? Is it just a looping section for a minute? Whatever's happening, however the song is structured. Also, if there's anything that seems unusual or unconventional or something that I'm unfamiliar with, how does that work? And what are all the little details that contribute to making it work? The Beatles 2-bar tag trick is a very good example of this exact thing. Next, I'll look at the chords. So there's no easy way around this one. You're going to have to transcribe the chords, or figure them out, or download them, or look them up, or whatever. You're going to have to get the chords though. Some questions that I've been asking about chords that have helped me a lot are things like, what are the chord progressions? What are the chord progressions in Roman numerals? Are there different chord progressions in each section? What chord does each section start on? How does starting on different chords affect the mood or the feel of each section? Is it all diatonic chords? That is to say, are all the chords in one scale? And if there are chromatic chords, chords that come from outside the scale, what are they? How do they work? What scales are they borrowed from? I just want to get a really good idea of what's happening with all the chords and how I can take that information and use it in my own stuff later. After chords, I'll look at melody. Some melody questions I would ask are, what note does each section start on? What is the melodic range from highest to lowest note of each section? How does the changing melodic range of each section impact the song? In an arrangement sense, what's the balance between vocal melody and instrumental melody? How are those two different types of melodies organized and negotiated? Is there a section where it's just instrumental melody? Is there any instrumental melody? Does the instrumental melody fill in gaps between the vocal melody? And if so, what specifically is it doing and what can I learn from that? As I'm going through the entire thing, I'll also keep track of takeaways. That's anything, whether it fits broadly into one of those categories that I've talked about or not. Is there anything that catches my interest that I'd like to make note of? Maybe it's something I'm unfamiliar with, maybe it's something I'm vaguely familiar with, or maybe it's something that's done really well in this song. Just anything that I want to think about more, that's interesting to me, or that I would like to try out in my own writing. Also specifically, before I start analyzing a song, if I have any preconceptions or theories or ideas about why I think this song is interesting to me, I'll make a note of those. And then once I've transcribed the stuff and looked at everything in more detail, I'll see if I have answers to those questions. After all, that's what drew me to the song in the first place, right? So this could really be anything that makes the song interesting to you. Is it the sound design? Is it maybe lyrical cleverness? Is there a good sense of momentum to the song? Do I really like the chords? Do I think the arrangement is clever and unusual? Like, have you ever thought about the song form and the arrangement of Bohemian Rhapsody?
Is this the real life?
We all know it, and it's this massive, sprawling song. But what's really happening in it? How does it stay interesting for so long? Do the sections repeat? How do they repeat? Are vocals shared between sections? Are chords shared between sections? I've heard it hundreds of times and I have no idea. But I guarantee you can learn something by looking at it closely. And so that's basically how I would analyze a song. There are some other things that I might think of when I'm looking at a song. How does the intensity change and evolve over the song, and what contributes to that? What's the vocal delivery like? Is there something really interesting going on there that's worth looking into? Is it like a power pop vocal, or is it more subtle, or does it change between sections? Are there different vocal techniques being used, like maybe vocal fry cry or screaming. And also increasingly I've been looking at texture and arrangement styles, just basically looking at each instrument and what it's doing and how they all work together and the texture created by it, and how that texture changes through the song. Anyway, that's how I would analyze a song. Feel free to steal my system, but I feel like this system works really well for me because I figured it out in a way that makes a lot of sense to me. So my real suggestion, if you're trying to analyze songs, is to think about what makes you like the song, and then analyze it to try to find answers to the questions that you have about why you like it. I'm generally super analytical, so this system works really well for me, asking very specific questions about every variable of the song. That's a good way for me to learn lots of stuff. But I know that everyone listens to music differently, takes all kinds, so this is really just about thinking critically about the music that you're listening to so that you can learn more from it.